So MVP recently dropped a 1-speed called the Range. They dropped it in their space race, which is kind of their glow-in-the-dark ace challenge, turned into an actual round, and I have a whole video on that. So I've already thrown this disc a little bit, but everyone's calling it the MVP Berg. And to be honest with you, when I initially picked it up, I didn't feel like I could tell the difference. I'm not a Berg thrower. This feels like a, honestly, shallower Berg. I don't have a Berg to compare it to here. So I went and bought a Berg because I didn't have any left at another round locally here. And this one does feel different. They call this 1102. The Range, they call these flight numbers right down here. And I was initially a little bit surprised at how understable this was when I was throwing it. Oh, it's not overstable. Straighter than I anticipated it being. It wouldn't move a lot left to right because it's very slow. It's only a 1-speed, but I would throw it on some highs and it would stand up and turn a little bit, where the Berg never really did that for me. Today, we're gonna do a Johnny putter review. We'll look at the profiles of these after a few holes and a few throws. Hopefully shoot a hot round with one of these and see if MVP made a better Berg, a worse Berg, or just a different disc entirely. Now the Berg has been a pretty popular disc for a long time. Initially kind of being more of a meme disc, and then Eric Oakley had his signature Bjorg, and I think Scott Stokely putted with them for a while, maybe in the K3, and a lot of people really like them because they're very slow. They kind of take some touch out of the equation, and you're able to throw them with a ton of power and have them go shorter than other discs, which can be very nice, especially if you're trying to throw hard through a gap, or you just want to run the baskets, which hopefully we'll get an ace today. That's kind of the sneaky goal. I want to at least hit some metal. So MVP coming out with a Berg-like disc, or another 1-speed, which definitely seems to have some similarities with the Berg. One of the main ones being this little thumb track that you can see around the edge, which makes it pretty comfy. That seems to be the most similar, but almost more comfortable on the range. I prefer this in my hand for the thumb track, but it's also a little shallower, which even with my small hands, I don't know which one I'm gonna like more. I'm gonna have to throw them to figure out. But Eagle McMahon has been absolutely loving the Range. So let's take a look at the profile and then we'll get on to hole number 1. So you can see at an initial glance, they look very, very similar. But when you put them up a little bit closer to one another, the Berg is a little bit deeper looking and a little bit blunter. There's a little more roundness on the shoulder here and a much quicker rounding off at the bottom. When you put them in your hand, the Berg definitely does feel like the bigger disc. Feels a little chunkier. This is a little small, like a very thin profile disc. And also the part of the rim in here feels thicker on the Berg than it does on the Range. Both of these are in glow plastic, so they should be the most accurate comparison. I was gonna pick up a K1 and then forgot that they also had a glow section, so I found this one instead. It does look like the Berg should be a little slower and a little more overstable just based off of the characteristics here. Also, real quick, if you're looking for a Sphinx locally, my Tour Series disc, when I was at another round, it looks like I don't know how recently, but hopefully pretty recent because they had a decent bit of them in stock, but my Sphinxes are there right now. So if you want to feel one before you threw it, you can go ahead and do that. Otherwise, obviously, all these discs will be linked down on Infinite site down below. And Infinite is running a promo code. If you use this code, you get 15% off basically anything on the site. I think MVP doesn't allow discounts, so maybe not that, but use that code, anything on Infinite, you'll get 15% off until I think October 7th. Let's get on hole 1. I'm interested to see how hard we have to throw these to see the differences in the flight, because the feel, I mean, this is way shallower, and I think it'll just already be a little more understable no matter what, but hole 1 is only 180 feet. There's OB just beyond it, so Range first. Oh gosh. I was a little afraid of that OB. Got a putt though. Berg. Sit down. All right, pretty similar. The Range, I feel like I can trust it less than the Berg, just off rip, because the Berg is a little more predictably stable. Maybe not overstable. I think if I flex the Berg, it'll just kind of hold it and maybe pan to flat, whereas the Range I think will actually turn a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see how this all goes today. 15 down I think is my record at Johnny in these videos, so hopefully we can beat that. Of course, Johnny putter reviews, got to use the actual disc to putt with. I putted surprisingly well with the Range in that space race. Definitely prefer putting with the Range than the Berg. Don't know if I'd putt with either of them. I think I like this more than I thought I would though. I think it's just because it's nice and shallow and I got little baby hands, so we'll make sure to throw a good amount of forehands with these today. Eagle really likes this for like a flip up turnover disc, so I wonder if I can maybe film a video with him and do a little Range battle. If you'd like that, let me know. And don't pass through Eagle though. He's a busy boy. Hole 2, we got a big boy. 203. I think I'm spinning the disc pretty decent right now because those are both a little glider than I expected. I think once you start throwing them really full power is where you start to see the drop, or whatever closest to your like full power is. You'll start to see that drop come out of the sky compared to your normal disc at that distance. That being said, 1-to-1. That doesn't count. Range has the box. I think it's gonna flip up a bit, but we do have a right to left, so not too much hyzer. Try to give these some credible runs. Oh, it did flip up a little bit. More than I thought. And it's sat for a pretty park job, so I think that same line with the Berg is not gonna be far enough, but it'll be lefter. So yeah, that one I left a little wider, not on purpose, because it was a little bit of a misrelease, but I imagine the range is like out of the box what you get if you beat up a Berg for a year, or maybe less time. I don't know how long it takes a Berg to beat in. I know Castoplast makes some pretty good plastic. I've never really thrown too much Castoplast, but I know people love their plastic, so the range to me already seems like a beat-in Berg. Berg SS, if you will. I kind of said that about the Glyph when it came out from Infinite Discs, which I think is the Birdie mold that Innova made, but now it's just run as the Infinite Glyph, and I think I called it like a Berg SS, but if you really want a Berg SS, I think it's more going to be the range, because it feels like a Berg, looks like a Berg. You could have put either one in my hand and I wouldn't have known the difference before. Now I think I will, because I just hadn't thrown the Berg, or the Berg much. Ow! What an idiot. Let's go under the tree. Under the tree. Hole 3, we got another Wappa 186. We're gonna try to throw these more straight at it, see if we can get them chain high and see how far they go past the basket. It was straight, but it wasn't at it. Good height though. All right, Bergy boy. That's better. Oh, it's gonna, I think that with the range is really good, but I didn't throw it with the range, did I? No. I think that's the beauty of these discs. Both of them felt like they came out with enough steam to give them credible runs. The Berg seems to, like I said when I was reviewing the profiles, it seems blunter, so it actually seems like a slower disc. Like I think the range will go a little farther, not only because it's more understable, but also because if the Berg's a 1-speed, maybe the range is like a 1.2 speed. I don't know if that even means anything, but the great thing about these slower discs, and the reason why sometimes I prefer to like throw up shots with a 2-speed, like a Watt or my Marvels, is because they just don't go far past the basket. Especially the Berg, because it's a stable 1-speed. It really doesn't want to go far past the basket, because it's also moving left towards the ground on a back end. Well, I got an ace to get back to the perfect ground. Okay. Sometimes you just gotta remind yourself that it's still not the disc, it's still me. I should have made both those shots. Buddy, you don't have to have solidarity like that. It's unnecessary. 150, headwind blowing in our face. One of my favorite holes to try to ace, bars. See if we can make a 150-foot putt since we just missed those 10-footers. Oh, I thought it flipped more. Off the tree. Oh, good backspin, let's go. Having some good trees out there. This hole's there somewhere over the creek. 150, little turnover. Oh, that's gonna be too far, isn't it? Yeah, I think the Berg on that line is gonna fade out, so a little more angle. Yep, very similar flights with a little more angle. All right, range went a little far, but we gotta look at it. Got a nice long one here. We'll be able to throw them a little harder. I think it's about 260, 270 downhill, and see kind of how they fight differently to get to the basket. I'll tell you what though, putting with these, not my favorite. 274, Berg box, like Bird Box, but a better movie. And I'm gonna aim it at that tree that's out there flat. I don't think it'll drift, and I think it'll get a little bit of a finish and hopefully get us close to the basket. Okay, it's straighter when you do that. Nailed the tree. Nailed the tree. Left it a little wide. This one I'm gonna aim right at the basket on a touch of hyzer. Kind of similar amount of hyzer that I just threw, but I think this will flip up. So not the best shot, a little nose up, but it did try to flip up a lot more than that Berg did. The Berg stayed straighter than I anticipated. And with that little nose up, it's gonna be hard for that range to flip. The range was much easier to get that distance though. It got down there much faster. So it really is more, maybe like 1.5 speed. Speed's so important, you know? Me speculating about the speed of disc, everyone loves when I do that, so Probably 1.5 speed. Trust the drop. There we go. 30s. Man, if this isn't disc golf, I don't know what is. Covering up the no alcoholic beverages. So just saying alcoholic beverages allowed, and they put a weirdo $5 bill on there. And then the curfew is also before people are done playing Globe a lot of times. You gotta love it. 237 for this hole. We're gonna throw some forehands. Berg saws the box, straight at it. I think I'll be a little wobblier. So I think I'm gonna try to throw it flat pretty much at the basket. It might end up coming out a little Anheuser, a little drifty. I think I can reach 237 with these. Slightly uphill, so it's gonna be a bit of a pump. Oh, that was actually pretty smooth. And exactly what you want to Berg for. Kind of parachuted to the ground with a little bit of movement. I think the range, pretty much on that line will be pretty good. It was like hyzer to flat, and I think this will flip up, and maybe if I hit it with a little more off-axis torque, it'll wobble a little too far left. But the shallowness, I think, will maybe make it even cleaner of a release. Maybe a little less clean. I don't know. The Berg, I like that release on the Berg, so. Yeah, look at that little flip up. So, released it a little righter. Pretty similar distance to the Berg, maybe a little bit farther, and it kind of flipped up the whole way, even on a pretty smooth release, so I'm pretty happy with that. Next hole, we'll be able to try some flat to turnover forehands. We'll do turnover forehands, so a little flexy guys. Buddy. 204, right out there. Try to give him a little turnover ace bid. Wow, that was early. I didn't hit the angle, and it smacked the tree. We'll throw another turnover forehand later. That was really bad. Range should make up a stroke, though. Or 2 strokes? Oh, baby, I like that a lot. Oh, that was really smooth. Just drifted the whole way. I think pretty consistently I get cleaner releases from the range than the Berg. I also feel, I just feel that putting. The Berg's a little bit deeper and a little chonkier on the edges, which I think more power players will like a lot. Definitely doesn't seem to go as far or as easily as the range, but for how easy it feels to throw the range, probably because it's thin and shallow, doesn't go very far, which kind of what you want from one speed. So interesting finding so far. Range made back that stroke. Both are 6 down now. All right, good news. I've never seen this position before. 177. They brought it back a little bit, so easier to kind of give it some ace runs. And because of that, we're gonna get some redemption on that turnover forehand. Oh, Berg's not up though. Oh, that's too much. But it's also in the circle. Shankopotamus is coming out the first throws in these last couple of holes. That's better. Yeah, I mean, that's a very similar shot to what I actually just threw with the range, but it was fighting against it the whole time instead of kind of going with or leaning into the turn. Neither are great. It's not really a shot that I throw to try to land at a basket. I typically be trying to flex it with something more overstable, but I do think those are pretty similar releases. You'll have to call me out in the comments if not. And because the Berg's a little more overstable, it went a little farther, as well as didn't just kind of dive into the ground. The basket is behind that tree over there. 231. There is like some backhands, and maybe a turnover backhand would work with these. The forehand could also work, but I think I'm going to try that turnover. Try to throw a pretty decent amount of Anheuser under this branch, and almost go between the tree that's guarding the basket and that shrub tree. But if I go a little bit right of that tree that's guarding the basket, that's okay. That's the right miss. No, I thought I threw it perfect. Just like that. Go. Okay, well, 1 tree for each of them. Just how I drew it up. This was a bit of a tight window. I think where this was turning, it was going to be perfect. And then if that misses that tree, it slides up to 15 feet. We got a long look at it. If that was a Berg, I think I missed the cage low. Another outside the circle guy. Matty-O, come on. Let's go. Obviously not trying to have the putt look like Matty-O's putt, but just that starting it out on Anheuser at it, I think, because the Berg's not really going to go right, it's just kind of going to flatten out and hit right in the basket as if I threw a flat putt, so. Oh, dang it. Love that out of my hand. Double parked. thought that flipped more. Oh gosh. So I tapped out those because 5 shots each, whoever aces is the real winner on our hearts. If I can't ace in 5 shots, subscribe. If I can ace in 5 shots, like, also subscribe. That's crazy. Still not that flippy. Come on. Oh, dude. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. This has never happened before. Oh, no way. I just aced with the range, and the camera wasn't on. I could have sworn I turned it on before no way did I just do that. It was so pretty too. It was a perfect flight. Now I gotta go try and recreate it, but I'm counting that as a 1. Are you serious, dude? I went to go and check the recording and it was not there. It was a second disc though, so it's not a true ace. The Berg went a little long. Oh my gosh, are you serious, bro? Come on. Missed my putt with the Berg. We'll re-throw this hole so you can see him fly again. I tried to throw the Berg flat and it came out on a decent bit of hyzer. And I was like, okay, let's throw an actual flat shot right at the basket. And it just literally was a laser beam right at it. And no one will ever know or believe me because I was too dumb to turn the camera on. Unbelievable, honestly. Unbelievable. Yeah, I just double and triple checked and it's nowhere to be found. I just never turned it on. I was yapping too because my camera died of embarrassment on the last hole because I did all those ace runs and didn't even hit metal. And then here I go thinking I have the camera ready and recording, but we'll go Berg first again, try to get another one. If I can recreate the shot flat at the basket, that'd be electric. No, too low. Just parked it. Dang it. Oh man, I was so hopeful for an ace too on camera today, and I got the ace. Just didn't get the camera part. Oh, dude. I cannot tell you how sad that is, honestly. But we'll mark it down as a 1 on the scorecard, because that's what I did. The Berg got a 3, so I think the range is now ahead of the Berg by 1 stroke. I have to ace now on camera. I'm not even turning this thing off. It's just gonna run the whole rest of the time, and I'm gonna get one. You know how like your adrenaline spikes when you race? I think my cortisol spiked because I'm so stressed out that I didn't record that. So weak sauce. All right, let's get one with the Berg. Go. Oh, great line. I feel like I cheated you guys. Ay, ay, ay. I think that has to make it official that I prefer the range over the Berg. I think I would have anyways. I prefer the stability of the Berg, to be honest with you, but I prefer the feel of the range and a little bit of that added tick of glide. The feel of the Berg, honestly, I like so much less than the range, that if the range is a little more overstable, which would change the feel, I think I would like it. I don't know if I would ever bag it, but it would definitely be like a far and away winner over the Berg to me. But I think the flight of the Berg is more of what I would like from this style of disc. So neither of them will make the bag unless someone can just morph them into 1. I think if I go perfect here and out with the range, I think I'll be 14 or 15 down, which is pretty good. Alrighty. 204 feet, turnover. That is nice. A little more turn with the Berg and a little more height and we have a chance. Did both of them. Oh, very similar flight. I think that shot with the range would maybe hit some metal or kind of be in that column of the basket, maybe underneath it. But yeah, they're definitely different enough. But if you like the feel of the Berg, and maybe it's a little too thick or something, the range might really be your cup of tea. Especially if you have a beat-in Berg that you need replaced. The range out of the box is very similar to that. Also, if you want to putt with a Berg like this is definitely better in my opinion. Way to prove that right there. Yeah, definitely the better putter is the one that shanked it, so. Berg, I think, is back to being tied up. Oh, and especially not when you shank it. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a good shot, but not a good ace run. That's better. Drop. Too much. I really prefer the straight on position. Much prettier ace line. Spirit of Matty-O. That was not Matty-O. That's better. That's more my normal putting stroke. I know the whole point of Johnny Putter reviews is that you're also reviewing the putting because it's a pitch and putt course and they're always putters, so you can putt with them. Please don't putt with these. I might need to call help for you if you putt with these, okay? 243, so probably one last good example of the forehand capabilities of these guys. We'll have to be a little more driven because it's slightly uphill 245. And then the next hole, I think we'll have a nice little turnover backhand. So hopefully nice and smooth. Okay, there's that turn that I was thinking of. Really smooth actually though. Wow, that got that distance easy. I think that same shot with this is better, but it might actually be way more overstable. Wow, perfect. So those both did not have significant amount of wobble, at least to the naked eye. Sometimes the way that I crank my shutter speed on the camera makes stuff look even more wobbly on camera than it does in person, which doesn't help my forehand wobble accusations. They're true, but they're not as drastic as you might think. Very similar shots I felt like I threw them pretty close to the same. The range went a good bit farther and flipped and got a little drift, which I know Eagle loves. He was talking about one hole in Brewster Ridge that he really liked throwing at when he was playing the Green Mountain Championship. But those two shots, I think, show the difference of the Berg and the range pretty perfectly. Because the Berg is parked on just like going straight on a hyzer and getting a little fade, and the range flipped up and turned. I thought I threw it really well, but I guess I needed to throw that line at the basket. Berg can level it back up unless I make a 50-footer with the range. Oh. 243 for hole 18, right ahead of us. The range has to ace, and the Berg just has to birdie. So let's get a birdie and call it a day, but a little turnover, try to get the one. That could do it. Oh, that's so good. So straight. Oh, so shanky. I remember at the last second that I needed to throw it on more hyzer, and so I just pulled it right. What a ding dong. Range fell apart on me. Of course, score doesn't tell anything about the disc. It just tells how I threw them that day. And the rest of the throws show us what the disc flies like. And I think I kind of already nailed it a couple holes back where I like the flight of the Berg, but the feel of the range. But the flights and the feels go together. So that being said, I think the Berg is a little 13-piece and the range is a 12-piece. If I'm wrong, it's on the screen right there. Snag both of these. Well, these aren't out yet, I don't think. So play an ace race or space race and you can get one of these. Snag a Berg on Infinite if you want. And I think people will love these as they come out. And I honestly think sometimes the neutrons are a little more overstable. So if they come out with a version of these that is a little more overstable, or maybe they just tweak the mold a little bit and make it a little bit beefier, I think it'd be really nice because I love the feel so much. I just think the Berg is the flight that I would rather throw, but I think feel over flight sometimes. Like if I was forced to bag, it would probably be the range, just because the feel is so much better that I would trust it more and I would learn how to throw it on the correct angles. So that being said, we gotta do a glow test. Can't believe I almost forgot. I brought out my light, but these are already glowing pretty well. So here is the Berg, and here is the range. Honestly, for these, they're sitting in my bag in my car. They are pretty glowy. Impressed, to say the least. Both of these companies are known for having really great glow. Here's one little pass with this guy. Even glow here, obviously. Same here. I do think the glow of the Casaplast plastic I like a little more. Seems to be a little fuller packed than these little beads, but I think this glows longer. I don't know though. Either way, you won't be disappointed with the glow in either of these. And back to me in the past for like half a second. You're the best. See you soon.